Welcome to If Numbers Could Talk. This is episode 56. The budget revenue of phases 1 through 3 and an update on phase 4 of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. The question I ask to you, what movie do you think has made the most? What movie do you think cost the most? And where do you think the most recent release, Doctor Strange, where do you think that ranks? How much do you think that's brought in its third week, after its third weekend, moving into its fourth weekend? You'll get all that right here on If Numbers Could Talk. Welcome to episode 56. It's been quite a journey getting here, and we're still here with you. Gonna be here giving you much, much more along the way. And this episode, for me, it's a bit interesting because I don't think we take the time in episodes of this nature to think about what goes into some of the things we see, some of the movies and the entertainment. And I don't know if we are very aware of what the outcome is. Sometimes we might like a movie and think just because we liked it, it has a high turnover rate and everybody else liked it and went to see it. Sometimes that is simply not true. And in this episode, I'm going to dive in just a little bit, give you some upfront numbers and some behind the scene. I don't know if they're behind the scene numbers at this point, but I'm definitely going to jump in and give you some numbers of what went into certain movies and for sure what came out of other movies. So, what's up, guys? Like the new set? Marvel Cinematic Universe, the MCU. It's pretty much a bunch of comic book stories turned into films, turned into sagas, turned into pretty much cult classics at this point. Um, so many films. At one point, I think it was 28, and now it's just you can't even count all of them just immediately. So let's get a quick ballpark of where we stand right now. So Marvel phases 1 through 3, you have 24 movies. And in Marvel phase 4 in the cinematic universe, you currently have 11 movies and 14 shows. So that puts us at 35 movies and 14 shows for phases 1 through 4, which has been a long time in the making and a long time in the watching and the viewing for we fans. Not we as in little, but we as in all of us. So let's get into it. Marvel Cinematic Universe Phase 1. Now, phases 1 through 3 are called the Infinity Saga. The Infinity Saga is everything Marvel phases 1 through 3. Marvel Phase 1 cost $1 billion to make 6 films. And Phase 1 brought in a total of $3.813 billion. The Marvel Cinematic Universe Phase 1, those 6 films range from 2008 till 2012. They go as such: the Iron Man movie, The Incredible Hulk, Iron Man 2, Thor, Captain America, the first Avenger, and Marvel The Avengers, which was the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Their very first billion-dollar film was Marvel's The Avenger, which brought in $1.519 billion for one film. Now, I just want to note, after making that initial $1 billion, every cinematic universe, every phase after that had at least $2 billion films. Some had multiple. Some had films that made more than one or maybe even 2 billion, but we'll get there as we continue. So that is Marvel Cinematic Universe Phase 1. 6 films, $3.813 billion, $1 a total of 4 years to get that accomplished. And the highest grossing film, or the highest revenue for films in phase one, is Marvel's The Avengers at $1.519 billion. So that last film alone, The Avengers, made more than it took to make the entire phase one. Keep that in mind. Marvel Cinematic Universe Phase 2 took $1.179 billion to make. It's weird how Cinematic Universe 1 was, or Phase 1 was just set at a flat billion, but when it came to Phase 2, that extra 1.79 was necessary to note when I went through the notes. That's how it was when you look it up. Phase 2, again, 6 films, took $1.179 billion to make, and made, that was the budget, 1.179. The revenue is $5.269 billion. Marvel Cinematic Universe Phase 2 ranges from 2013 to 2015. The 6 films in there go as this, or go as such, go in this order. Sorry, guys, I just realized I had some comments. Hey, what's going on over there? Nick says the set looks great. I appreciate that, Nick. Thanks for tuning in. He also said, oh, yeah, showing he is excited for this episode. We're getting into some good information. I appreciate that, brother. And Big Mike, too. What's up, BG Mike? BG Mike hops in. He's like, yep. Not sure what it was when he said yep, but I'm assuming it has something to do with that billion. Probably so. What's going on, fellas? Appreciate you tuning in. The movies for you guys that are in phase 2, those movies go as this, go as such, go in this order: Iron Man 3, Thor the Dark World, Captain America the Winter Soldier, which is of course our introduction to the Winter Soldier, Guardians of the Galaxy, which is not considered volume 1. It's not like volume 1 is next to it. It's just called Guardians of the Galaxy. But when you know, you know. So I'm going to call it Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1. But when you look it up, it's just Guardians of the Galaxy. Avengers Age of Ultron. And the last movie of the 6 films in Marvel Cinematic Universe Phase 2, which range from 2013 to 2015, is Ant-Man, the Ant-Man movie. Now, those billion-dollar films in Cinematic Universe Phase 2. Phase 2 had 2 billion-dollar films. Iron Man 3, which was the next movie directly after Marvel's The Avengers, also made $1 billion at $1.215 billion for Iron Man 3. Then you get to the next Avengers film, The Age of Ultron. So The Avengers made 1.519, and Avengers The Age of Ultron made $1.403 billion. So again, the Cinematic Universe Phase 2, it took them 1.179 billion to make Phase 2, and they made 5.269 billion out of the Cinematic Universe Phase 2. From there, we move on to 2016 to 2019, 3 years to put out 11 films for Marvel Cinematic Universe Phase 3. I'll repeat that: 3 years to put out 11 films for Marvel Cinematic Universe Phase 3. To make Phase 3, it took somewhere between $2.294 billion and $2.403 billion. I'm not sure why there was a range instead of a definitive number. For Phase 3, I'm guessing there are still some things being figured out and paid for, I'm assuming. I don't know. I'm not in on that side of things, guys. I simply do a little bit of research and I give it to you the way it comes to me. $2.294 billion, or somewhere between 2.294 and 2.403 billion dollars, to make 11 films for Phase 3 of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, which made the revenue, what they made back off of that 2 point some odd billion dollars, is $13.505 billion. 13, that's right, 13.505 $505 billion for Marvel Cinematic Universe Phase 3. Phase 3, the movies go as such: Captain America, the Civil War, Doctor Strange, the first movie, Guardians of the Galaxy, Volume 2, Spider Man Homecoming, Thor Ragnarok, The Black Panther, or The Black Panther, Black Panther, Avengers Infinity War, Ant-Man and the Wasp, Captain Marvel, Avengers Endgame. And the last movie for the Marvel Cinematic Universe Phase 3 was Spider-Man Far From Home. So let's get those billion-dollar films for the Cinematic Universe Phase 3. Captain America Civil War made an even $1 billion. Black Panther made $1.34 billion. Infinity War made $2.04 billion. Captain Marvel, $1 billion. Avengers Endgame, $2.798 billion. Spider-Man Far From Home, an even $1 billion. So as you'll notice, the last two Avengers films, the Infinity War, and essentially the entire Infinity War saga, from beginning to end, the first part of the Infinity War and the second part of the Infinity War made over $4 billion. So the Avengers themselves made Marvel about 6 billion. Actually, more about 7.3 billion, I believe, for Avengers as an entire series. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. I would assume from what I have seen, um, it cost about 1 billion to make all four movies. Maybe a little over 1 billion to make all four movies. So with that being the case, to make about 7 billion for the Avengers saga alone, that is incredible. That is pretty impressive. Before we get into the rest of those billion-dollar films for the rest of the, or excuse me, that is the Phase 3 actually. Let's do that. So those are all of your billion-dollar films for Phase 3. Again, Phase 3 cost about 2.7 billion dollars to make, and they made in total $13.505 billion. We have a question here from Nick. Nick's question is, what is your favorite film in the MCU? He thinks his is Civil War. Well, because I've just finished Phase 3, I'm going to answer up to Phase 3, in fact. And if I had to choose a favorite, Nick, I think that's a really good question, in fact. But if I had to choose a favorite movie of the phases 1 through 3, mine's personally would probably be Black Panther, or I think it would either be Black Panther or maybe Age of Ultron for me, or Endgame. No, no, you know what? I think it would have to be Black Panther. Um, I have a million reasons. We can definitely have an episode and discuss that for sure. We could definitely discuss that. We could discuss both reasons, your reasoning and my reasoning. I appreciate that question because it definitely just spurred some thoughts that I would love to share at a later time. So yeah, for me it would be Black Panther, which is a part of Marvel Cinematic Universe Phase 4, which is interesting. I'm actually with you saying that although my favorite single movie would be Black Panther, um, all of the Avenger movies kind of have a place in my I want to watch again category. And it makes me a little sad, and I'm gonna say this getting into Phase 4, knowing that um there are no plans to give us, as far as I remember from what I looked at and from my research, there are no plans to give us anything more actual Avengers. We're gonna get the Avengers in different segments, but no actual Avengers movie. The Avengers have reached their end game. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge, wink, wink. That's already happened. So the Avengers might be my favorite series in Marvel in the MCU so far, but Black Panther hands down is my favorite. And Big Mike says here his favorite is the Wakanda Endgame. Wakanda Endgame. I like that because you're able to put the two together because there is a Wakanda scene in the Endgame. So I like that. I like how you did that. Indeed. I think that means Mike's is in game for the record, but the Wakanda scene makes that so for him. With that, we move into now remember that's 2016 to 2019, 3 years for Marvel to put out 11 projects. Excuse me for a moment. So I ask you, how much do you think so far Marvel has put into Phase 4? They've gotten 3.56 billion or 556 billion out of it to date. And actually, I want to say that number has gone up by about 400 million. So I want to say they've made about 3.956 or about right at 4 billion to date for the 11 movies and 14 shows planned. Only 5 films are out, and they do not give you revenue for the TV shows. They only give you ratings and things of that nature, which I didn't really dive into that, but I will go down the list of things that are planned. So again, think to yourself, what do you think they've put in to Marvel Cinematic Universe Phase 4 already? That answer is $1 billion. They have already put in $1 billion and have gotten back about 4 billion already. The Marvel Cinematic Universe Phase 4 began in 2020. I believe it is scheduled to end around 2023. However, I did stumble upon some other things and there was no note of a Phase 5. It may not end until 2025. That's right. I saw some things. If you go and search your internets and maybe some of your fandom pages and do your research, find out what you might have to subscribe to, get some letters here and there, read a couple of articles. You might find some things also. But on from what I'm looking at, as far as films, it looks like 2023, but as far as projects all around, it could be 2025. It's just a matter of will Phase 4 expand past 2023, or will that be the end of the cinematic universe as far as Phase 4 is concerned, and what will lie after that? With that being said, let me get back to the things we already currently know, because we can't speak about the future unless somebody has a machine out there. I might, rent a couple of trips on that. Phase 4 is considered the post Infinity Saga. So, again, the phases 1, 2, and 3 are the Infinity Saga. Marvel Phase 4 is considered the post Infinity Saga. Again, making me question, will we be getting a Phase 5, or is Phase 4 all of the end of everything for the phases? So, again, they have put in $1 billion to date and made around 4 billion back to date. There are 11 movies and 14 shows that are scheduled for Marvel Phase 4. The movies go as such: The Black Widow, Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, The Eternals, Spider-Man No Way Home, Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. Those are the movies that are currently released. The other movies that are out information wise and scheduled are Thor Love and Thunder, Black Panther Wakanda Forever, or excuse me, Forever, Forever, Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, The Marvels or The Marvels, haha, only if you know, and The Fantastic Four. Those movies are all currently on schedule and being talked about, not just by the fans, but by the studios and people who are already hired to be a part of those projects. I want to say all of those projects are either already being shot or in production or in the process of beginning production, from what I read. Of those films, only one so far has hit a billion. I believe there's another one that has only 3 weekends under its belt, which is Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange is sitting at about 883 million right now, and I'm sure it'll hit a billion in the next month. It slowed down. It lost a lot of steam. Opening weekend, it was at 400, about 480, I believe, at opening weekend. So For another 2 weekends behind that, I actually expected them to hit a billion by the end of the month, but maybe I might have been overshooting that. Spider-Man No Way Home, which was the movie that came out right before Doctor Strange, for those who are thinking it, I'm going to say it for you. Morbius was not an MCU Phase 4 film. So just helped you with that. Neither was Venom. I think there's one other movie I'm missing right now. But yeah, those weren't Phase 4 films. I did my homework, trust me. Or don't. Correct me. Let me know. But the next billion-dollar film, right under 2 billion. It hasn't hit, I actually thought it might have hit 2 billion by the time I actually shot this. So I definitely checked it and kept up with my notes. But it hasn't hit 2 billion yet. And that's Spider-Man No Way Home, which is sitting at $1.93 billion currently. So I do believe Doctor Strange will hit that. Just, I mean, it's already at 883 million. It hasn't even got out of its first month yet. We have another week for it to be out of its first month. And that's not this weekend, that's the following weekend. So let's see what that looks like numbers wise. I think they'll hit a billion, which makes me think if it does for sure hit before we hit June, Doctor Strange might be on a real roll. And it might be one of those things that people may not have realized how much people want to know about Doctor Strange, or is it the multiverse that reeled everybody in? I'm not really sure. But if you haven't seen that, or if you haven't had any reviews, head on over to the Screen Time Continuum. We definitely have a review on that for you. So, with that being said, those are our films. What about our TV shows? And there's also a bunch of web series, which again, when you look at the notes, they don't consider any of that a part of the Phase 4 layout. All of these TV shows I'm about to name, with the exception of the I'm Group of TV show, is that's not a part of Phase 4, but it's the an I Am Group TV show being produced. I had to mention that, right? But with that, now let's jump into the TV. The shows that we already know that are out there: WandaVision, Hawkeye, the Marvel Halloween special, the something I wrote and cannot read. That's crazy. Oh, the Armor Wars. I remembered it off the top of my head. I had to go down the list in my head. The Armor Wars has already been released. The Falcon and the Winter Soldier has already been released. Moon Knight, the Guardians Holiday Special, Loki Season 1, Miss Marvel. Oh, I'm sorry. It stops at Loki Season 1 and What If. After that, we have other shows that are coming out. I want to say Miss Marvel will be starting in a week. I think Miss Marvel comes out this week or next week. But the Miss Marvel TV show, The Secret Invasion, will not be a movie, as you may have heard. It will be a TV show. The Secret Invasion will be a TV show. The She-Hulk TV show is on its way out. They've already had trailers out for that. Ironheart is going to get a series. And there will also be a Wakanda series. Now, the Wakanda series is scheduled. All of these TV shows, everything from I think Miss Marvel and She-Hulk are the only two scheduled for the rest of this year. The other ones I named are scheduled for 2023. And I believe the Wakanda series is scheduled for the beginning of either the end of 2023 or the beginning of 2024. Um, it took me quite some time to find some dates on the Wakanda series. I hope that they actually follow through with it. Maybe it's in production. I don't know. I was not able to find anything on that. And again, this is the numbers show. So I did my best to give you the numbers, and then I gave you a lot of information on the back end, simply because if you're interested in the numbers for the things that I went over at the top, I know you're interested for these TV shows that I also mentioned. Now, phases 1, 2, 3, and 4. Are you curious what the total is? Let's round it up. You have 3.8, so let's call that 4 billion for phase 1. 5.2, so let's call that 5 billion for phase 2. 13.5 billion for phase 3. We could call that 14, yeah. Right at the 5. No, we'll leave that at a solid half. So you have 5 and 4, that's 9, plus 13. 5, 4, 9, plus 13. I'm doing the math in my head, yes. 22. So that's at 22.5 billion. and then the plus the 4 that they're currently sitting on coming into phase 4, and they're not done. They're only 5 in to those 11 films, and we don't know what the revenue is from the TV shows. So 24 plus 11 30? No. See, guys, I messed it up. Now we got to go back. 13 and 9 was what again? Help me out, guys. I don't have a calculator in front of me. Go on, man. I'm just trying to throw some honesty out here and see who's actually doing this with me. But yeah, no, if you're actually doing it, let's do it for real. 13.5, 5, 4. That leaves you at 22.5. You add 4 to that, and you have 26.5. So $26.5 billion. I am not a math whiz. I really sit down and I crunch these numbers for you guys and put them on paper and read them. But I take my time and I really enjoy it. So I never want anybody to think that my brain works like a calculator. It doesn't. I wish. I pray for it every day. Tell me what movie that is. I know somebody knows what movie is that. But either way, um, I appreciate you guys for tuning into this, definitely. And I had a lot of fun finding this information. I don't think we realize how interested we are in the input and the outcomes of things that we like to be entertained by until we go and we find out. Like, I'm not really concerned what the individuals made. I'm always concerned, not really concerned, but I'm always interested in what did it take to put on a production? What does it take to like a basketball game or a football game or something of that nature? How much money does it take to put on one game? Light bulb. I'll get back to you on that one. This is If Numbers Could Talk, episode 56, right here at you. The budget and revenue of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, phases 1 through 3, and up to date on phase 4. I appreciate you guys. By all means, hit the like and subscribe if you haven't done that already. Head on over to Facebook and YouTube. I'm going to give you a list. Go ahead, take it down if you got time. If you don't have time, just go ahead and run this back later and you'll get this entire list I'm going to give to you over and over every single episode. Don't worry about it because I'm going to continue to tell you about this wonderful, wonderful information we put out here for you. All of the shows that we're building for you. We're continuing to give you more content, more information. Let me tell you where to find it. You'll see it all when you get there. Go ahead and check out the Exofathom. The Exofathom comes on Fridays at 8 p.m. Check out This Merry Moment. This Merry Moment comes on Saturdays between 10 and 12 p.m. So 10 a.m., 12 p.m. That's a window for you. Check them out. Sundays and Wednesdays, you can check out the Screen Time Continuum. That comes on at 8 p.m. Again, Sundays and Wednesdays. Then you can come right back over here to If Numbers Could Talk. If Numbers and Talk is going to be here for you on Tuesdays at 8 p.m. If you like video games, don't hesitate to head on over to Twitch. Check out Dejan. Dejan's on also Tuesday nights and as well as Thursday nights on Twitch on Strawberries and Coffee. He has a really great vault full of video games that you may have never heard of, depending on how many games you've played in your history. You might have already beat these games and you just want to see some nostalgic gameplay. Head on over to Strawberries and Coffee. Also, look for Strawberries and Coffee on YouTube with everything else that we have, and you'll be able to find the backlog for not only not Twitch, but not only the backlog for Strawberries and Coffee, but you'll find plenty of videos on YouTube also for the Exofathom, If Numbers Could Talk, the Screen Time Continuum, This Married Moment. We're all there for you. And we're going to continue to give you more stuff, continue to come up with new stuff. Drop some inboxes for us. If you look down at my banner, I have my email rolling across. If you have any ideas, things that you're interested in hearing about, by all means, go ahead and send that over to ifnumberscouldtalk@gmail.com. And we'll be also having those up for you on our various shows so that you know where to send your suggestions, where that you can contact us and find the host of these shows that you will surely enjoy because we enjoy making them for you. I appreciate it. Thanks for hanging out, guys. Have a great one, and I'll see you next week.